Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night, your weekly Vanguard podcast, brought to you by our patrons at patreon.com/Nexus at Night. I am Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And today we are talking about, now that we have the revealed skill for every trial deck boss in Overdress, we're going to talk about Horny Jail and what all the TDs look like against each other now.
No, we're not. Because we don't want to know like 3 cards from each CD.
You know more than 3 cards at this point.
Okay, we know vanilla, and yep.
And that's it.
Warriors.
And that's it. We can make YouTube videos now of us doing like TD fights.
Stop right now. I mean, me being the TD meta master, whatever that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Like, I think it's something that I want to talk about, like from this perspective, is Maury made a statement on Twitter. Let me find it again because I forgot it. Where he basically said that they want the TD bosses to be have staying power or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Let me get his specific statement here.
Our concept for the start deck goes beyond being simply an entry product. What we envision for most, though we'd hope for all, of the main units in the start deck to continue being mainstays of decks for a long time to come.
Right. So we now have a different kind of aspect, and so I think this kind of like more kind of gets into what I was mentioning before, where like the start decks are kind of generating your first kind of engine in Vanguard, right? Like if we look at the Dragon Empire start deck, the Trickstar engine, aka the things that overdress on top of Trickstar, the things that call Trickstar, the things that benefit off of Trickstar accessories, are going to be like the first engine via the start deck. Will they always be the best engine? Maybe, maybe not. But they will be an engine that is available to be played, for a long time to come.
Mm-hmm.
And so that engine coming out of, even Brankgate is the engine of imprisoning units. The idea that you can imprison units and make your opponent pay to get those units back.
Yeah. I was going to say, do we want to say what the prison is and what the things do? Because it's been interesting to say the least.
Sure. So the prison itself is an order, surprisingly. That it goes into the order zone, which I guess is like just a zone where you put order cards, and I guess it just stays there, right?
Yep. Like a field spell or a continuous, or what is it for magic? Permanent?
Yeah, permanent. Yeah, it's kind of like a permanent. Did they give a special name to these things, or
no?
They just call it an order.
Yeah,
I think there's like a line of text that's like keep it there, it stays there. Or something.
It's a set order.
Set order.
The name here. So there are orders that are set on the field, and this order says that you first of all you have to rest a rear guard to play this card with an exclamation point. So they're kind of pulling a little bit of buddy fight kind of exclamation points in the middle of cards. And when it's placed in your order zone, you soul charge 1. Is that what it says?
3, it looks like.
Oh, soul charge 3. Jesus Christ, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the order zone, when your opponent can normal call a rear guard, they can perform the following. So basically, in their main phase, they can do this. They can Soul Blast 1 to grab one imprisoned card, or Counter Blast 1 to grab 2 of the imprisoned cards. So it's kind of a way to either you're basically taking away resources from your opponent temporarily, and that they can choose to pay to get those resources back.
Mm-hmm.
The rate is pretty strong for your opponent, though. Soul Blast 1 to effectively draw a card. It's pretty good, especially if it's a card that you want. And Counter Blast 1 to draw 2 is quite good. And they are incentivized to do so, right?
What, to Counter Blast to get the 2 things? But that's a steeper cost than...
Certainly.
Yeah.
Although, I guess it's hard to equate it to like a draw 2 since they took those cards from you in the first place.
Oh, I mean, that's fair, right? But, if it were a retire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then again, these abilities are much stronger than retire. being
Yeah.
a counter, at least from what we've seen so far. We've seen, so if I can go back to some Overdress Dragon Empire cards, I'm sure I can even find them at this point. I don't remember the text, please hold on.
It was like Soul
we had
Blast 2 to retire, wasn't he?
Yeah, one of them was Soul Blast 2 to retire. One, I think there was a Counter Blast 1 somewhere. Like get 10k. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to find the older cards, but it's been a bit.
Here, I'll give you the
I found
link. Okay.
Yeah, so Varina is not only so when it's an overdress state, it gets power plus 1,000. You get Soul Blast 2 to retire. So that was like the only like retire thing we've seen yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Granted, we haven't seen that many cards with skills, and we've only seen the one overdress card. With that being said, so the Soul Blast 1 kind of is a cheaper cost to get back with the I guess one card, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, but the cost to imprison units initially is cheaper than Soul Blast 2, like pound for pound. Like if we look at what's her name skill originally, Seraph Snow. So Seraph Snow is the grade 3 boss from the brand CD.
Mm-hmm.
It has an ability, I continue something at circle during your turn. If there are one or more imprisoned cards, she gets power plus 10,000. If there's 3 or more imprisoned cards, she gets drive plus 1.
Cool.
And then on van or rear, you can counter blast 1 to choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards and imprison them. So you can think about it like this, like your counter blast 1, take 2 of your opponent's rear guards, and your opponent can counter blast 1 back to take them back.
So it's like locking from Link Joker, but the opponent has like some recourse to it.
Right. So they're basically paying costs.
Yeah. And that's built into it from the beginning rather than them being like, we kind of overdid it. Here's everything to unlock ever. And you're like, oh.
Right.
And, you know, as time goes on, they can probably print more prison orders that have different costs.
One thing that is, and obviously we don't know any cards, so this is again just like complete spitballing. But like if they generate if they ever generate an alternate win con in Brandgate, like a win con that's not dealing 6 damage to your opponent, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Then now you have the ability to say, I'm going to damage deny my opponent. Force them to say the only way that you can get units back from a prison is by soul blasting. That would be a really interesting game, right?
I didn't think of that at all.
Really interesting kind of control deck. Like, if they develop some kind of alternate way to win the game for Brandgate, you know, or even print it, and have like kind of a deck like this in mind, you could have an actual control deck, like a resource strangling control deck in Vanguard.
So if they were to do something like that, where it maybe like, for example, let's say if you get 10 guys in prison, that's the win, right?
Right.
I think you could make it even crazier, like Root Beer said, if they start having prison cards with different costs to get stuff out, where maybe instead of soul blasting, you got to retire something or discard. Then it turns into this thing where, like, in order to build a board, you have to bleed every step you take. And that's interesting to me. And actually,
sounds like it would be absolutely miserable to play against, but it would be very interesting.
I mean, what, in Link Joker wasn't miserable to play against? Nobody likes playing against control decks.
Playing this Link Joker was fine. I just threw my hand on the table and it died. It was pretty easy.
I mean, this is like chaos at its height near the end of G era. Incredibly annoying to play against.
Look, man, just play better decks.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I'll go back in time to, what was that, 2017, 2016? And,
yeah, slap that Atlas.
Yeah. For a multitude of reasons you'd want to slap me, I think. But, yeah, this actually is making me consider do Brightgate, like, for reals.
All right, but I said this in one of my Discords. Like, if you choose to play Brightgate, you have to watch Pat Labor. It's not optional; you just are required to.
Wait, you have to watch what?
Pat Labor.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So it's this anime, I guess. It's about police Gundams.
I thought anime
police
sucks and
mecha,
is for
really.
nerds or something.
Anime does suck and is for nerds, but it's police mecha. And you basically just can't call yourself a mecha fan if you haven't seen it.
Right.
I mean, I'm never gonna say I am. All cops are bastards, but
Yeah, but it's pretty enjoyable. Well, some of it's enjoyable, some of it's bad, but just watch all of it anyway.
Okay. So wait, by that
Don't worry
logic,
about which is which.
that means I can't call myself a. God, there's nothing else you'd want to call yourself. You can't be like, I am.
Look,
a
I'm just
wolf
saying,
with
I'm
wings.
just putting the soft requirement on Brent Gate that you need to watch. You need to watch Pat Labor, Pat whatever people call it. It's like patrol and labor, right?
Yeah.
This word's impossible. Pat Laboratory. In order to play this deck, I am gatekeeping this deck by watching some short OVA.
It's like this
Or
weird.
all the series.
One week he's a feminist,
Yeah.
the next week he's gatekeeping. I don't understand anymore.
Yeah, man. You just have
Like
to
the
watch
50
the
episode
7
anime.
episodes. How is it 50?
I think so. It was in like the 40s or 50s.
It's really
It was
old,
long.
right?
Yes. There's also like the 3 or 4 movies, the live action TV show.
Oh my god.
God, how is there so much?
The last anime I actually watched all the way through was Cowboy Bebop, and that's a limited series.
And that was recently too.
Yeah. That was. Wait, when you say the 40s or 50s, I thought you meant episode count, not the decade it was made in.
No. It's like from the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think maybe there's some of the 80s actually.
Still. Anyway, so now that we have the TD boss for every nation, I keep wanting to say clan, and I have to go, no, it's nation.
I'm just gonna keep saying both but people get the idea, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Always a good time. So do you think that we have, like, stuff that looks the most promising just based off the TD boss?
The problem is it doesn't really matter because, like, none of the promisingness out of set 1 is really important. Because, like, it all matters none of the promising in the TD is, like, it all matters what's in set 1.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it does.
Well,
Like, we've seen, like, four cards out of each TD.
yeah.
Have we even seen the order for Stokea?
No, we haven't.
And neither the one for Keter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And we haven't seen shit from Whale.
I mean, we're not going to see shit from Whale until, like, what was it, May?
Oh, Jesus. So Whale's getting a late start, but that's fine. I'm going to focus on the main 5 nations.
They usually, when the city of the whale, aka Bermuda Triangle, always gets their thing last, and it's always the most broken thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know how it is.
New design team, so we'll see how that pans out.
I wonder if people just heard the shitty butthole '90s rock coming out of my neighbor, who
Nobody heard anything.
good, because like this guy shows up around the same time every night, and he's always playing like shitty butthole rock from the '90s, like blasting it.
Can you define butthole rock for me?
Smash Mouth, Nickelback, Creed, butthole.
Wait,
rock.
I'm sorry. Did you say Smash Mouth sucks?
Yes.
Hmm.
Is this how Nexus Ignite Civil War happens over Smash Mouth? Really?
What they have one hit.
All
And it's the
Star.
only hit that matters.
What do you mean? They have Walking on the Sun too. They have 2.
No, that song sucks.
No, that sounds great.
Well, you call it butthole rock.
Yeah. Just because somebody's butthole rot doesn't mean they can't make a good song or 2.
Yeah, All Star is fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway,
Everyone loves Shrek.
all right, we're way off topic. Oh my god. So, knowing this and knowing what now we know at least what all the other nations do, not just like what they tell us. Hey, you'll be able to do this thing. Now we're like starting to get effects here and there that are causing people to speculate. I.e., Cater Sanctuary has a lot of stuff that's about when you drive check a grade 3, you do a thing.
No, it's not just drive checking a grade 3, it's having grade 3s, period.
Yeah, the whole deck is about having grade 3s.
It is
So,
more
the only way
Paradise.
I'm playing Keter Sanctuary is if they print Die Kaiser.
What if it's the exact same effects, like not a break ride, just like on attack, if you Drag Trader Grade 3, kill a PG. Whatever.
But it looks like some stupid knight.
Yeah. Would you still play it?
I'm kind of not into it.
You need the giant robot with the thing for it to matter?
I think so. I think I need the. I think I need the giant robot.
Okay.
I just can't care about giant dumb knight.
Yeah, that's fine.
Look, you could play cool bug demon guys, right? Like in Dark States, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can play lame knights and dragons. Your choice.
Some people just like that. The only thing out of like United Sanctuary that I liked wasn't the paladin part. It was the like, gods and goddesses and the other stuff.
Dogs.
Yeah, I think dogs appear in pretty much any United Sanctuary clan. They just love their dogs. So
Are there dogs in
Doggos
OTT?
are good. Probably.
what was Matt's question?
Are there
Are there
dogs
dogs
in OTT?
Probably.
I think so.
I'm too lazy to go look right now, but I'm sure
I'm
there
gonna
are.
go look. You guys find it.
I have.
I need to know the answer to this question.
Let's see.
Can you
Knight,
pet the dog in Cards My Vanguard?
Witch, Archer, Platinum Wolf. They get a dog. We can't see what
guess
it
that
looks like.
counts.
Damn it. It's got wolf in the name. I assume it's some kind of dog. So
Before
far,
it's just a dude named Platinum Wolf. They have a lot of cats, though. Cats are pretty alright.
yeah, cats are. I mean, even Tachikaze has a cat for some reason.
That's true.
What was the
Because
deal
that
with
has
that?
many cats.
Is it, like,
Wait, which cat are you complaining about?
I'm not complaining about the. It was just like confusion, right? Where
Wait,
you're
which cat?
what's the one where it's like on attack? You give something a gauge. It was 9K.
Yeah. It was the saber-tooth tiger thing. Yeah, what's wrong with that?
That was a saber
It's
tooth
very
tiger.
Tachikaze.
That looked
Yeah.
like a house cat.
Yeah, it's definitely not a house cat.
Oh my god.
I don't understand, like... You're talking about Turbo Melodon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that shit's got huge fangs.
Turbo, Smilodon, Smilodon. Those look proportional to
Look
his
at those
face,
fangs,
kind of.
dude. It's huge. What? Have you seen that? What kind of house cats do you have? What the fuck? If they look like that, man, then keep me away from your place. Don't fucking murder me.
I like how that's the thing. Not the robot parts on the rest of the cat, the teeth.
Dude,
That's
the
the
fangs are
kicker for you.
huge. Huge.
Okay.
I hate that card works on Vanguard Circle. It makes my first turn plays awkward.
Why?
Because sometimes I don't have a grade one that I really want to call.
Oh.
Or you just end up with a gift on something stupid. Or not a gift, but a gauge.
Yeah. Yeah, it
or
does
you
kind of...
don't write it.
Yeah. Although then it's awkward because then you're like, oh, this is my only grade 2 in hand. Not
Or it's
anymore-
like that in Sweeper, and you're like, well, so I'm not writing Sweeper. Fuck that.
Yeah. And you're like, well, time to not put a gauge on it on the thing, I guess. So
Yeah, writing Sweeper is actually illegal.
if you do that, you're sad. But so I'm seeing a lot of these effects where they're all like, when you ride this on Vanguard, do this, and I keep having to tell my brain, you have a ride deck now. So the consistency problem isn't a thing. But now I'm wondering that now that you have all these like really strong effects on ride, and then after that, that's it. Except for your grade 3, and even then you have the persona ride mechanic. Does that mean that like there's going to be more stuff going on in the early game and mid game, as opposed to the late game, where you don't?
I mean, well, there's now a reason. So we've already seen cards that want our opponent to be grade 3, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if going second gives you the first kind of powerful turn for some clans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or for some nations or some decks or whatever, what have you, then, you know, forcing your opponent to ride up first is kind of a big deal.
I hope that Bushiroad's intended flow of the game comes to pass this time, as it often has not in.
Well, again, new
Before.
design team, so maybe they
Yeah.
can figure it out.
Maybe, but
Also, like, a lot of the time gate that they implemented into old archetypes of Vanguard were very poorly thought out, where it's like, your deck does not function until you're at that time gate where, at least right now, like, we've already seen kind of your ride chain cards. We've seen a couple of rear guards that do things already. I think they are at least aware that there is an early game and that cards should have some abilities at that point.
Correct.
Yeah, like even if it's little stuff, like give us just enough to force some more shield. It's something.
Yeah.
But in terms of like rear guards where it seems like they do more, it feels like Stoicheia is the only nation that's like really doing anything like that outside of the Overdress, of course.
Again, I would like to reiterate that we've only seen like 3 or 4 cards from each TD.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean. Oh, never mind. At least we're not.
And all of the cards we've seen have been those cards that are like, quote, obviously part of the ride deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've seen like their engine cards mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
the
there's
thing
a
is,
lot
like-
more to see kind of how it shapes up. I don't think we can really say anything like definitive on that yet.
Especially because, like, most of the cards that are going to be revealed at this point are just vanilla beaters. Because I think
Right.
we have seen, like, the majority of cards in some of the TDs is just, they're all really boring cards that, like, gain 3,000 power or something.
Yeah, for the most part, of the things I'm looking at, because like on the stream they'll like show 3 at a time, like your main ride deck dudes, and then now they've finished with Brandgate.
Yeah.
So I think.
Oh, right, the literal 8k vanilla that doesn't even get extra shield.
God forbid that. I'm surprised they didn't just keep doing that. Just the 8k with the 10k shield vanilla. Like if they're not gonna have if they're not gonna have grade 1s be 10k shield anymore, I feel like at least for vanillas you could have kept that. But seems like that's not a thing for whatever reason.
So have we seen all of the Dragon Empire start deck, or
Let's see.
I think we've seen most of it.
We got names for everything at least. We know what the order does. We don't know if the triggers do anything, which there is some speculation.
it looks like there's a really hazy picture of one of the triggers with text on it.
Yeah.
And so people are like, "Oh, what's that
Hmm.
about?"
And they're like, is that a real thing? Is that reminder text? What is it? So I'm wondering if that's gonna be some like random last minute surprise out of the hat.
But yeah, it looks like we already know all of Dragon Empire.
Yeah, let's see. We know what the PG is. We got all the ride deck dudes. A lot of it seems pretty
I'm
straightforward.
looking at the art on the triggers that we have.
Looks pretty cool.
Oh, we don't have some of the triggers. Oh well. Well. And there was this. I forgot about. Wait, what is Sunrise Egg? Oh, that's a starter.
That's your starter. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
And we assume that the other start decks will have similar kind of 8K vanilla kind of things.
Yeah.
So you
Like,
got
we've also seen I think we've seen the important rear guards in Keter Sanctuary's TD, where the grade 3s are all just like beaters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know what the order does yet, so can't say anything definitive, but like as far as rear guards are concerned, I think we know most of the important things.
Gotcha. So we've seen Apex Ruler Bastion. We haven't seen. We've seen Ramana. Okay.
Yeah.
love
We haven't seen like the great ones yet, so that might be something still.
I love the name of the order for Keter Sanctuary. The Hour of Holy Judgment cometh.
Well, it's a grade 3 order.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
This deck is all about grade 3s.
Oh, and it counts if you check it with Bastion.
Yep.
It says try check a grade 3, not grade 3 unit.
Yes.
That's pretty sick.
But yeah, anyways, what were you going to ask Atlas before we kind of interrupted you with this train of thought?
Which one? Which question? Or
But you're Fuck, now I can't even remember the question.
I know, right?
It was like
I went so far down the rabbit hole, I forgot what we're talking about.
I think it was like design things, because you were talking about how the Keter Sanctuary really wants grade 3s, and then
Oh, I think it was more speculation about what we're gonna get in the set proper, where if what if like these grade 3 bosses, if they're meant to be like in use for a long time, what if they're not meant to be your like main grade 3s? They're meant to be the backup grade 3s and just like are a solid start.
That's possible, except some of them only have Vanguard abilities.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think the idea is like what was also done at the start of V era, where you had things like Dragonic Overlord, who was like kinda good but not game ending, and then you had Waterfall, where if you have a grade 3 in Soul, is like your finisher. So I think Atlas is wondering if we're gonna get the same thing, where these TD bosses will be like your staple ride deck cards that are consistently strong but not necessarily game ending. So you have them in the ride deck, it's always there, and then you have your better late game grade 3 to ride into at a later turn.
Gotcha.
Actually, come to think of it, what if like remind me about something. If you have a grade 3, can you, and you haven't used anything from the ride deck yet, can you ride from the ride deck on top of grade 3, or is it only the previous grade? I cannot remember. Because
Look this up.
it would be interesting if someone were to go, okay, I have, Violence Bruce or whomever, where you keep the one copy of him in the ride deck, and then you just don't ride him until later in the game, because maybe you drew him early, so you ride the first one from hand, and then, like, when you're ready, just drop a card and get it out. Like,
why not just ride the one from your ride deck and
to
then...
begin with?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe it
like, I don't understand what the idea would be.
Okay, I'm like looking at it on the wiki. The wiki says that like you have to take something a grade higher than your current Vanguard.
Okay, so once you hit 3, you can't like continue writing 3 via the ride deck. Okay, so forget I said anything then.
Will do.
Yep. Very easy for me, he says.
So I think what's probably going to happen is like, as long as these starter bosses are at least somewhat viable, people will probably run the TD ride chains for the ride deck, and then you can kind of build the rest of your deck around main set cards.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if that's what ends up happening, that is still a form of longevity, even if it's not necessarily what they were probably thinking.
Which that's been a thing before. We want you to do this thing, and everyone else is like, no, this thing's better. So, and then they're like, oh damn, what?
I might not get JPTDs, but I'm probably gonna get all the English ones.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely getting all of the English ones, if only for content for the YouTube channel.
Wait, do I need 4 of the one I care about? Because then I can have it all foil.
You could. Would you do that?
Maybe. What am I gonna do with all those over triggers? Throw them at people. Got it.
Put them in the common box at locals?
I guess, since it's hard to speculate because the main set could radically change these decks, which ones are looking interesting to you so far?
Brain Gain has me interested in the long term, but not in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
Where Dark States has me more interested on the short term.
I see. Atlas?
I feel like I wasn't given enough info about Dark States in the short term. I kind of would just play it on principle. I think Stoicheia, if that's the case, because
what do you want? You just murder your opponent. What's the problem?
What, with Dark States? Or
yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like, okay, It doesn't seem like the things you stand really matter all that much. It just matters that you have warm bodies to stand, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but you Persona rode that turn, so
It's not a point. But yeah, Stoicheia, that's me. How about
enjoy
you,
your
Rupert?
back row not getting plus 10k.
Did 5K.
Some of them.
What about you, Root Beer?
Long term, I think Keter Sanctuary has potential if they do what I'm hoping they do with future support. Immediately, like, I think Stoicheia out of just the TDs looks the strongest so far.
What does that mean? Strongest compared to what?
Against the other TDs.
Yeah, but who cares?
I don't know, the weird
It's like-
locals that make you go,
but like-
all right, it's new set comes out, we're doing a draft. Everyone's like, can we not do a draft? We just want to play with the decks we have. And they're like, no,
Oh my
doing a
god,
draft.
this story actually fucking happened.
I know.
The worst part.
Well, that's the thing, is like, having a strong base to build off of is worth something. And I think, from what we know so far, Stoicheia looks like it has the strongest base to start from.
Fuck yeah, it does.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take a trigger on damage and laugh maniacally.
I mean, you say that, but Aquaforce has topped multiple times before, so.
Correct. With a lot of power.
They also topped with, like, Tetra Drive, which didn't always have a lot of power.
No, but it had many Vanguard attacks,
Yes.
which were pretty big because you had and maybe with yeah, lots of criticals.
So wait, what's the thing you hope they do?
I mean, I brought it up on our Twitter, but because they have all this extra design space from clans being no more, like, I would hope that with what we currently know from the TDs, that they could use some of the old clan identities to kind of enhance what they're building in here. So, like, Dragon Empire, right now, all we know is overdressing on Trickstar, but, like, what if you had some Murakumo cards that could become Trickstar, and you could overdress on top of those instead?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and same thing with Keter Sanctuary, where it's like, you really just need to find a whole bunch of grade 3s. What if you had OTT stacking effects to put all your grade 3s on top of your deck so that you can draw them?
Or hell, like, you have 6 clans of stuff to work through in Keter Sanctuary. The plausibilities are endless. Of, like,
Yeah.
alright, aside from, like, the stacking, it could be like, alright, I got 3 grade 3s in my damage zone. I get to do this thing. I can call a grade 3 for my damage zone. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
It's, I think if they're gonna, or like maybe they have a thing where it's like, alright, continuous effect, everybody in my front row gets grade +2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's also something of, like, taking cues from Brave, where your cards increase their grade value.
Mm-hmm. So many things you can do. I especially am curious to see what we get out of Stoicheia, just because it's not only 5 different clans crammed together, it's 5 different clans from 2 different nations, and none of them were really buddy-buddy with each other.
Yeah.
What sort of wacky shit are we going to get into?
I mean, so far, all we have is a Neo Nectar-looking card that just calls a card from your deck.
Mm-hmm. Which, free card.
Yeah, call cards and attack with cards.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
and then you had, like, a weird Snorlax-looking thing, and wolf with wings, and lots of other weird stuff. I'm sure they're just going to start slow, and then over time you start delving into the rest of this design space, but it's fun to think about, and I especially would like to come back in the future and be like, what were we speculating that turned out to be true? What turned out to not be true?
How high were we?
How high were we high enough to think that gifts were a good idea? Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Yes, we were.
What a mistake that was.
You know what the worst part about that is? Those are bad takes, and we think, how high were we? None of us were high at all, so we had all the downsides of being high without actually getting high.
Yep.
Look at us.
The worst.
Yeah. Although, like when I started thinking about the Murakumo idea more, I was just like, actually, the idea of being able to like copy Trickstar and getting like a fake overdress sounds like a great idea for a villain deck.
Oh, like
He's the
the
main
evil
character.
version of them?
Mm-hmm.
Could
I
be.
You know,
Could
he
be.
couldn't. He couldn't do the good real overdress, so he has to fake it with his evil ninja dragons.
Interesting.
Do we know how closely the card design is going to be tied to the anime? Is the studio just going to do, like, follow it?
We have
No clue.
no idea. I'm just saying. Like when I put it in those terms, it actually sounded like a really good idea, and I hope they do it at some point.
I hope they do it too.
But there's only 5 nations, 5-ish nations to support. So hopefully they can figure it out this time.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I pretty much got nothing else to say about it.
Certainly hope so.
Just that the Brain Gate thing in general, especially how Matt described it, is like imagination capturing, to say the least, for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Anything else you guys want to add before we get out of here?
Yeah. I am really excited to see set 1.
Yes.
Sooner rather than later.
Like I think while what they've shown us so far is quite different from the existing clan identities, I think there's a lot of space to incorporate some of those old ideas into the game. And I hope that this being the second reboot and maybe wanting to distance themselves from some of the bad decisions previously doesn't cause them to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's an expression I haven't heard in a long time. But
Rootbeer's actually a really old man.
Yes.
I think you and I both have like weird old man sensibilities for different stuff. Like mostly just how we see the world, I think.
Love of bagels. Oh, okay.
I fucking love bagels. What are you talking about?
Yeah, same. No, that's what I'm saying. I also love bagels.
I just bought a thing of pretzel bagels from Trader Joe's, and I'm like, that. You ever be that level of excited about food, and you're like, oh yeah, I got bagels waiting for me at home, and you're like, why are you not just thinking about, fantasizing about bagels at work?
Well, I mean, what? That's a dumb question.
What do you mean? What? No, it's just one of those low moments where you're like, fuck.
No, that's a perfectly reasonable thing.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Nexus Tangents.
Oh my god. Okay, so what? So we've bled into each
Leave me
other?
alone.
Look, that's just all I had to say. Fine. Thank you for listening to Nexus at Night. If you want to help support the show, patreon.com/Nexus at Night gets you a free bonus show every week with the three of us and also the occasional guest. Thank you to $10 patrons Cole and Darren. If you want to find us on social media, it's at Nexus at Night on Twitter or Instagram. Where can they find you guys?
You can find me on Twitter at Wiggums2Gs2Gs.
You can find me at Plasma Eclipse.
And then you can find me at Atlas Novak in the same places as I just described. Until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And have a good night, everybody.